Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look here at Unifi protocol, see kind of what's going on, help understand best practice and big picture. And I did cover this, of course, recently, kind of giving you some words of wisdom. I hope you took that and took your profits around $30 to $35, because honestly at that point that it was extremely overextended and it would have been kind of ridiculous to stick around. Now again, easier said than done, hindsight's 2020, but if you go back and watch that video, you'll see I was hoping that you would close your position, take some profits while you still can, and maybe let the rest ride. That being said here, not a financial advisor. I really hope you can learn something here today. This is not an I told you so. This is just really just kind of helping you understand, best practice, how to approach situations like this and what might happen next, because coins like this have a tendency of going crazy out of nowhere. And, even though it was likely a fundamental catalyst, based on the technicals alone, there are certain things you can do to protect yourself. So again, if you're new to the channel, I love teaching people to trade. CryptoCache.tech is the website. Link in the description below. You can go ahead and become a community member if you'd like, because of course I do offer Trading Academy, community, and signal groups, and it's really awesome experience to be able to kind of share that with you. Taking a lot of profits from Chainlink. I think we have an open position with CBC, and obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum too, but there's some really cool opportunities now. Even though the price for Bitcoin is range bound, there's still a lot of gold out there. Again, this is one of those, of course. I hope you took your profits when I recommended you did. Now, again, perfectly fine if you didn't. It's definitely higher than it was before, so you're probably still in the green if you got in around 250 to 3. And obviously, the price action being right around $9 is still pretty high. That's basically a 300% increase. And that's not bad. We got to celebrate that. But of course, when it's upwards of $40 and it started off at 4, right? You got an instant 10x. There's no reason not to take your profits. Because something like this, if you look at its history, it has a tendency of shooting up and shooting down. Those are just things you need to kind of understand and acknowledge. All right, so taking a look at this here, of course, we'll start with the daily. Moving averages don't matter too much, but kind of do as well. So, the 200-day SMA, the price action is right around $5.90. So we could see $6 as a potential bottom. For right now, though, of course, we saw a massive correction yesterday and, of course, the day before for it to come back down. So I do, once again, hope you took some profits. But generally speaking, there's not a tremendous amount of things we can kind of extract here. And the main reason why is because we have this blip in the radar, right? It's like this really strange anomaly that just kind of shot up over 1,200% or something crazy. And then it came right back down. No surprise there. Whoever took their profits is laughing all the way to the bank right now, while a lot of folks are stuck at higher price points. So the important thing, just some friendly advice, when you see the price action shoot up like this, sell as much as you can, if not all of what you have. I usually like to sell about 80% in my first go. So hypothetically, would have sold between 10 and 20, and then I would have let the rest ride. Okay, so that's generally the concept of how that works. So again, even the best analysts aren't going to be able to sell at the top or buy at the top, but can tell you when I was looking at this recently and it was upwards of $40, there's really no reason to stick around. Okay. So again, greed doesn't belong in trading. You leave that up to the whales. All right, anyways, enough advice. Let's just go ahead and kind of see here. Obviously, RSI was way out of whack, hit 92, came back down. So as long as we stay under 70 on the RSI, which should be good to see that the price probably continues sideways or even up from here. But the bottom line is that, with decreased volume, which we're starting to see, of course, today's trading day isn't finished yet. You can see that lower volume is resulting in not a lot of price action, which is going to be standard for this, because obviously the amount of volume that shot into the market and left the market in that last 2 trading days is kind of all said and done. Now it's just kind of regular trading. So we don't have enough data to really kind of identify where it's going to average out, but on smaller time frames, we can identify a few things. So let's go ahead and see what we can find out here. So first of all, when it comes to the 4-hour, obviously we saw this large candle wick. That's when I covered it last. And the price action, I think it was between 35 and 38. So what I said at that point was that in most cases, the price will retrace back down to these 2 lower levels. In other words, you likely have a strong likelihood of anywhere between 0.382 and 0.5. Okay, so the price in all reality should have averaged itself out here, but no, it didn't. Obviously, it came all the way back down to break even below this lowest support level of 0.236, which would have put us right around $13. So now what we can anticipate is that's going to be a resistance level. Okay. So now that we're down below that, that's essentially a resistance level. Okay, so we're in this lower tier here effectively, and in that regard, there's a lot of range for motion Key takeaway here is this descending pattern is broken for obvious reasons, but more important, we have a lot of range here. So what we wanted to probably do is take a look at some previous resistance levels, mark those on the charts, and essentially just kind of take a look and see how much lower the price could go and where could be some resistance levels as well. Okay. So again, what I'm doing is I'm not just pulling lines out of drawing lines on a chart. I'm taking some previous resistance levels and drawing them out to kind of see, because it does look like we are fairly range bound in this area here, right in between $7.30 upwards of $10.20. So $7.30 to $10.20, basically a $3 range where the price may be range bound for a little while. But the general sense here is that the price obviously is getting rejected at this price point, came back down, and bounced off this level here as well. So, again, those previous support and resistance levels I drew out, I didn't know they were going to line up like this perfectly, but they do. And that's just a good sign to tell us that we're probably going to be stuck in this range for a little while. Now, will it break out? It's hard to say. We don't know yet. We don't have enough volume or data at this price point to understand. Its average true range is still essentially becoming discovered. But it does look like it's pigeonholed itself a little bit into this area, and that's something that's important to acknowledge. So if it were to kind of come up and retest this level, we could see a break of 10.20, and the next potential resistance would be 12.80. Okay, so 10.20, 12.80 are the resistance levels. Those might be good profit target areas. So in other words, if you have a profit target, I would say right around $10 even would be good. You never set your profit target right exact at the resistance levels. You always want to have them just a little bit below. So again, instead of $12.80 or $12.75, I do $12.50 or $12 even. That's a good profit target. A DCA target, which I don't really recommend DCAing into a coin like this because I don't think the likelihood of it maintaining or sustaining its price point is great. I would say that's closer to $7.40, maybe $7.50, somewhere in that range. All right, and then the last thing we want to kind of take a look at is the 1 hour. This is going to be a little flawed, but for the most part, yeah, it's really weird. When you have these sharp increases, they really throw things off a lot with the technical analysis. And in this sense, we can't really rely too much on the lag and span conversion line, nor can we rely on the actual cloud itself until it averages out probably another 24 to 48 hours. So this reliable indicator that's supposed to show us consistency and how to get in and out effectively is really telling us that we shouldn't be in a position right now, and taking a long position would be disadvantageous. Okay, so I would say at the very least steer clear of this. If you're already in it, all well and good. Maybe continue to hold. It does look like it wants to continue to try, but keep in mind, and again, this is very tentative because this is less data and we don't have much to go on. We are making lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so that's typically not a great sign. That does imply that we should see this level of 740 retested. If we see 740 retested and broken, then we can expect the price action to continue lower from there. Okay. So it's giving us every indication it wants to come lower, but if we can establish higher lows, then we might be in good shape. And you can kind of see that somewhat forming here if you were to look. Those are higher lows technically, but it's a bit of a stretch because again, this is a 1 hour time frame. You never want to guarantee well, there's no guarantees in trading, but in generally speaking, I would say that a time frame like this, the lower the time frame, the less reliable the trends are. Okay, and that's the only problem that we have here is that we don't have much data outside of this, so we have to use smaller time frames. So again, it's a bit of a stretch to anticipate the price will continue going lower because we're making lower lows and lower highs. It's also a bit of a stretch to say it's going to keep going up because we have higher lows, right? So that's another reason why I don't touch coins like this with a 10-foot pole, because it's not a guarantee. If you are a gambling type, feel free to add to your position. I do not recommend it though. It doesn't feel like it wants to continue much higher. But again, we've got some key level supports and resistance levels that have only been tested truly only 1 or 2 times. Okay, so I would say in time, hopefully tomorrow, more likely than not later, we're going to have to kind of take a closer look and reevaluate when we have more information. Okay, so for right now, I would just recommend don't touch this if you have a consideration for adding to your position thinking that you're going to get lucky and it shoots up to 40 again. The likelihood of that is insanely low. Something has to happen to get this to that point. Something did happen, of course, but will it happen again in 2 days? No. Very rare for coins to actually do that. In fact, if you look at the time frame here for the big picture, yes, it had a parabolic increase before, and yes, it came back down. But generally speaking, you should not expect it to do that again. Like the likelihood of this happening twice in a 6-month period is very low. Okay, I like to give you an example. When you You may not have done this before. I've fallen down a flight of stairs, right? Thankfully, I didn't break any bones, but for the most part, you're more likely to hurt yourself really bad falling downstairs. So this is what happened. Unifi Protocol fell down a flight of stairs back in March through June of last year, of course. Obviously, we know what happened. That was Bitcoin's highest point. It sold off, and it was very tough. But generally speaking, in this amount of time, even though it's a year later, roughly, the fact that it did this is uncommon and unusual, and we shouldn't expect to see that again, right? So what I'm getting at with the analogy is that when you fall down a flight of stairs, it takes a long time to recover. It took Unifi Protocol a year to recover. It did its glory shot, and now it's over. Okay, so the likelihood, once again, of it continuing back up higher from here is very, very low. And I'll be more than happy to eat my words if I'm wrong in the future, because once again, probabilities like this do not occur frequently. All right, so again, just be smart. If you're up 3x or 4x, whatever the case is from where you were at earlier, you might want to take some profits. I mean, it's just kind of the way that it should work. Because again, I think it's a hope and a prayer to expect the price to continue higher. Unless you know something fundamentally that I don't, which is probably very realistic, and that could very well be the case, there's no reason to consider adding to your position here. Okay, unless this is like the federal government just signed a Unifi Protocol for a 10-year contract, there's really no reason to want to do this, right? So try to invest correctly and safely. And if you want to become a better trader, obviously I have a trading academy to help teach you every step of the way, things that I know, as well as a trading community, and I send out signals for my trades that I take as well. So be sure to check that out. Again, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below. I offer military and third world country discounts, but please make sure when you send me a message, only use the contact information in the description below. There's a lot of scammers out there, and unfortunately they're spineless piece of crap, no good for anything. So if you're listening, which they probably won't, you suck, and I'm sorry, but it's just a terrible way to live, and I'm sorry for some of those who have actually gotten caught with that. Regardless of that fact, just be careful and be cautious. Crypto's always changing, and it's important to trust your resources. So thanks again for trusting me in this sense and watching this far. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.